Welcome back to World in Perspective, the podcast where we question everything and take nothing at face value. Today we're diving into a topic that impacts all of us: the rise of capitalism and the growing wealth gap worldwide. Joining me are two brilliant minds with opposing viewpoints. On one side, we have Lucas, a passionate socialist who believes capitalism is inherently flawed. And on the other, we have Ethan, a firm believer in capitalism and the power of the free market. Let's get right into it. Lucas, you've been quite vocal about capitalism's flaws. What's your take on its growth in recent years?
Absolutely. Look, there's no denying capitalism has fueled innovation, but at what cost? Here's a fact. In 2024, billionaire fortunes increased by $2 trillion. That's $5.7 billion a day. The richest 1% now own nearly 50% of the world's wealth. That's not just inequality, that's feudalism with a modern twist.
I get where you're coming from, Lucas. But isn't that just the result of hard work and innovation? I mean, these billionaires didn't just find money lying around. They built empires, created jobs, and lifted millions out of poverty. Take Jeff Bezos and Amazon, for example. They created over 1.6 million jobs worldwide. Isn't that progress?
But at what cost, Ethan? Those Amazon workers are paid peanuts while Bezos earns $2,537 per second. In fact, half of Amazon's global workforce makes less than $15 an hour. Here's another shocker. In 2024, the top 100 billionaires increased their wealth by $852 billion. That's more than the GDP of most countries. Capitalism rewards the rich for being rich. Meanwhile, income inequality in the US is the highest it's been since the Great Depression.
Whoa, those numbers are staggering. But Ethan, you mentioned innovation and job creation. Doesn't that justify the wealth they accumulate?
Yes, because wealth isn't a zero-sum game. Capitalism lifts all boats. Take China. In the last 40 years, over 800 million people were lifted out of poverty through market reforms. Even in India, capitalism fueled the IT boom, creating 4.5 million jobs. Isn't that proof enough that free markets work?
Hold on, let's look deeper. In China, 1% of the population owns 30% of the wealth. In India, the top 10% hold over 77% of national wealth. Globally, the richest 1% captured nearly two-thirds of all new wealth created since 2020. Meanwhile, inflation is skyrocketing and wages aren't keeping up. Even Oxfam reported that the top 1% pocketed $26 trillion while the bottom half saw only $1.7 trillion. How's that fair?
Okay, I see your point, but isn't that because of corruption and poor governance? That's not capitalism's fault. It's about giving people the freedom to create wealth. If you redistribute wealth, where's the incentive to innovate? Who would take risks? Who would invest in startups?
I'm not talking about handouts, Ethan. I'm talking about fair wages, progressive taxation, and social safety nets. Right now, billionaires pay lower tax rates than the working class. In the US, the average billionaire pays just 8.2% in taxes, thanks to loopholes and offshore accounts. Meanwhile, 40% of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency expense. How is this freedom?
This is intense. But Lucas, if capitalism is so flawed, why does it continue to thrive?
Because it's designed to. The rich use their wealth to influence politics. 60% of people worldwide believe the wealthy have too much political power. In the United States, the top 0.01%, just 2,400 people, contribute 40% of all political donations. They shape policies that favor them, creating a cycle of wealth accumulation. That's why billionaires got $2 trillion richer during the pandemic, while 200 million people lost their jobs.
Wow, when you lay it out like that, it's hard to argue. But what's the alternative? Socialism failed in countries like Venezuela and the Soviet Union.
I'm not talking about authoritarian socialism. I'm talking about democratic socialism, like in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They have universal healthcare, free education, and strong social safety nets. Yet they rank high in economic freedom and innovation. In fact, Denmark's billionaires pay 45% in taxes, but they're still thriving. It's about balancing wealth, not abolishing it.
That's an interesting perspective, Lucas. Ethan, you've been quiet. What's going through your mind?
I've always believed in hard work and individual success. But these numbers, they don't lie. I defended capitalism because I thought it was fair. But if the system is rigged, is it really meritocratic? Maybe you're right, Lucas. Maybe we do need a change. Not to kill capitalism, but to make it humane and just.
That's all I'm saying. Let's create a system where success isn't built on exploitation, where wealth is earned, not hoarded.
Wow, this was one heck of a conversation. I think we all learned something today. But what about you, our listeners? Do you think capitalism can be fixed, or do we need a new system altogether? And what's the real solution to growing economic inequality? Let us know in the comments or tag us on social media with your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast if you found it thought-provoking. Thanks for tuning in to World in Perspective. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.